Ladies and gentlemen, the Big Screen Berkan podcast is back. Yes! Yes! I hope you're watching this at 7 in the morning. I hope this energy is what you're starting your day with. I hope you're watching this at 11 p.m. at night. I hope I'm the reason you can't fall asleep because the energy and the passion is there. Ladies and gentlemen, the rumors are true. I now have another platform to annoy you with my passion, my energy, my takes that the internet just absolutely loves. You're welcome. What can I say except you're welcome? Moana 2 comes out in theaters this November. Excited about that one. No, I'm very excited to be doing this podcast again. I tried a couple years ago when I was kind of first getting a hang of Big Screen Berkan and the channel, trying to look for other ways to make content, and it just wasn't something I had the time or the capacity to do. I wasn't creatively in a place to where I can make an episode every single week consistently and have new things to talk about, new things to go over, and it was just hard. It was also, like I said, it was the beginning of me doing this channel, and it was somewhat discouraging at times because there wasn't really a following there yet. So it was just kind of a hard thing to pull from scratch. But now, a few years later, I'm incredibly grateful. I have so many movie friends, as I like to call it. Movie friends are anybody who follows. If you follow Big Screen Berkan on any platform, you are my movie friend. You have full permission to comment, message me, any type of movie opinion, question. If I see it, I will do my best to interact with you. But I just want you to know that as my movie friend, I value it whether I agree with it or not. So that's kind of the community I've been working towards building the past couple years. And I feel like it's in a good place to where I can open this podcast up again. And maybe we can take next steps together. Maybe we can have some really cool guests, interview some really cool people. I have another podcast with my best friend Michael Lee. It's called Starlog. We talk about movies occasionally there. Spoiler alert, or I guess breaking news alert. That podcast may also be a little bit more of a movie conversation going forward. It's going to be kind of like 70% Hollywood movies, TV, 30% just me and Michael being me and Michael. But that's another platform where we do things, and I got to interview Kristen Chenoweth. You know, she originated, she was one of the original stars of Wicked. Her character name is Glenda. I got to interview her on that podcast, and that was really cool and special. And it just kind of, that moment gave me some type of clarity of, hey, maybe this is something that I can bring to Big Screen Berkan a little bit more, and we can develop from here. So I'm really excited. I would still want you to listen to Starlog. Starlog is something that Michael and I are working very hard to grow and create together. That's going to be more of a, like I said, a movie conversation between two best friends. This one is definitely going to be more one-sided. If you're listening on Big Screen Berkan, it is my opinion. There's no one I'm arguing with. I'm telling you my thoughts. I'm going to do my best to be objective, right? I'm not going to be too one-sided. I'm going to try to play devil's advocate when I can. But if I'm excited about something, I'm excited about something. You're just going to have to deal with it. I am sorry. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really exciting era of my platform. So I'm excited to share it with you guys. I want to get to some questions. Like I said, now I kind of have a community that we've started building together, so I actually have a good amount of really good questions from all of you, which I'm excited to kind of answer. But before I get to that, there's a couple things I want to address. The first one being the Acolyte. The Acolyte on Disney Plus wrapped up about a month ago. It was 8 episodes. So many negative reactions, a good amount of positive reactions. Every time I talked about the Acolyte on my channel, I feel like I was just bombarded with negativity, but there was a few gems in there who were strong for the Acolyte, and I loved it. My thing with the Acolyte was I didn't want to say it was a terrible show, it was a great show until it was over. I felt like that was the fair thing to do. And now that the show is over and has been over, I can say that I didn't necessarily love the show. I thought it had a lot of positive moments. Episode 5 was great. Episode 1 and 2 was good. The rest was just kind of eh. The writing wasn't very strong. And honestly, it kind of felt like the entire time they were working towards getting to the story they actually wanted to tell. Like, they wanted to skip over introducing the characters, developing the characters, really letting the audience fall in love. They were just too excited to get to where season 1 ended, and they were excited to pick up where it left off for season 2. That was the vibe I kind of got, and it's super unfortunate because this week the Acolyte season 2 has been canceled. The Acolyte has been canceled, and so we're not going to get that story. We're not going to get more Darth Plagueis content, or at least in the Acolyte. I'm sure at some point we will get it. It's just not going to be anytime soon, I don't think. But I hope one day they do visit it. I'm sure the character stories from the Acolyte will continue in some type of book, comic fashion, maybe a video game here and there. They did announce at San Diego Comic-Con a couple Acolyte books. So the stories are still going to continue. If you truly love the Acolyte, you do have an opportunity to, get to know those characters more and learn little bit more. I think those books, though, are a little bit more of a prequel. So we'll see. We'll see what happens in the future. I think it is a shame because like I said, I felt like they were just kind of getting to the point they actually wanted to be at. They were about to tell the story they actually wanted to tell, and we are not going to get that opportunity. I know a lot of people didn't like the Acolyte, and that's totally fine. Like I said in this episode, I didn't really like the Acolyte that much. However, how many brilliant shows would we have just given up on? How many brilliant shows would we have not had if we gave up on it in the first 8 episodes? I just finished watching Breaking Bad for the first time, and I did not really care about the show in the first 8 episodes. The first season was like 7 episodes, and it just ended abruptly. What if the show got canceled? What if they decided, you know what, it wasn't that great, we don't want to continue? What if that happened? Many of you regard Breaking Bad as one of the greatest TV shows of all time. What if they just took it away? I mean, there's so many great Friends, the first 8 episodes. How many times has one of your friends told you, oh, just wait until you get to like season 2 or season 3 and then it's absolutely amazing. You just got to get there. How many times have you heard that? I guarantee you all of us have heard that at least 3 different times for different shows. So that's kind of my thing. I don't believe shows should truly be canceled after 1 season. I mean, even Velma and Max, which the internet absolutely hated, that got a 2nd season. I mean, it's just how it is. Stories have growing pains. It takes time to develop them. And I understand with Star Wars, it's a universe we've been exploring for years and years and years. But this was the first time we got a piece of Star Wars material with just 100% originality. I mean, it was all original characters. Darth Plagueis was the only character, Darth Plagueis and, spoiler alert, Yoda was only in it for 0.1 second at the very end of the very last episode. Those 2 characters were the only characters you had ever heard of prior to this point. Okay, and there was one more, but I'm not going to say his name, because if I say his name, the comments are going to be flooded with like, oh, they broke canon, which, by the way, Disney never broke canon with the Acolyte, so stop complaining about it. I mean, it's a little crazy to me. And here's the crazier thing about the Acolyte situation. I think it was November 2022. If it was November 2023, I'm going to pull my hair out. But there was a show on Disney Plus called Willow. And Willow was a very high-budgeted show. I think originally it was Lucasfilm as well. I can't remember. I never watched the original, so I had no nostalgic feelings about it at all. But I knew a lot of people were excited to see that those characters return and for those stories to continue. And that show was released, again, either November 2022 or November 2023. And the show finished on Disney Plus, and within like 2 months, Disney had removed it completely. There's no trace of Willow anywhere on Disney Plus. You cannot watch that show if you wanted to, unless it exists somewhere else. But it definitely doesn't exist on Disney Plus. And it's kind of crazy because I think they're starting to do that with the Acolyte. Many people have realized that Disney, again, the show ended about a month ago. Disney stopped selling Acolyte merchandise. They wiped all Acolyte merchandise off Disney stores, off the Disney Store website. It's gone completely. That's crazy. And it does look like maybe they're getting ready to wipe the Acolyte off. Maybe it isn't going to be canon anymore. Who knows? It is just absolutely wild to kind of see how it's turning out. And it just breaks my heart because, again, whether I thought the show was great or not, you can tell there was so much passion that went into the making of that show. And it sucks that it's just going to be kind of completely wiped and destroyed just like that. So, that's all I'm going to say on the Acolyte. I'll always appreciate the Acolyte for its originality, its passion, and its just boldness. But again, I'm not going to lie to you and say I thought the Acolyte was a great show. I just wanted it to get more of a chance. Now, I want to shift gears to Warner Bros. Discovery, their second Joker movie. That movie comes out in October. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a beautiful film. We know there's not going to be a third one, so this is going to be it. The director, Todd Phillips, has said they believe they've told the story they want to tell after the second movie. So, and they're reporting that there's going to be some crazy, like, Looney Tunes-esque animation to start the film. I'm super excited to see what that looks like. I kind of wish they didn't reveal that, and maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it on this podcast, but that's the only spoilers you should get out of me for the rest of this episode. But the thing I want to talk about is, I want to talk about Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, because it's probably going to be an absolute stellar performance, but I want to be very, very clear. I genuinely, and this sounds like I'm hating, I promise you I'm not. I don't want Lady Gaga to get an Academy Award nomination for her performance as Harley Quinn. And I only say that because even though it probably will be deserved, this Harley Quinn is going to be a vastly different Harley Quinn than you know. It's not going to be the high energy, high pitched bubblegum voice that you may know with Harley Quinn. It's not going to have the crazy accent. That's not what the character is going to be. Todd Phillips has said it's a different character. Which, again, I think Lady Gaga is going to absolutely nail. The reason I don't want her to get an Academy Award nomination is truly because I felt like Margot Robbie did such a good job bringing that beloved character to life the way she was written. And to me, it just feels wrong that if Margot Robbie never was honored for her performance in that role, I don't want to honor someone else before her. That's all it is for me personally. I think it's one thing to do something different with a character and absolutely nail it, but I think people don't give enough credit for those actors and actresses who take these comic book characters and bring them to life to perfection, because it is not easy. It is not easy. And Joker was a movie that had Academy buzz. I mean, Joaquin Phoenix, he got nominated for an Academy Award for his performance as a Joker. So it's not unreasonable to think Lady Gaga could potentially get nominated for her performance as Harley Quinn. Of course, I haven't seen it. We don't know if it's good. I'm assuming it's going to be good because I think Lady Gaga is a better actress than we also give her credit for. But I just think that if anyone is going to get nominated for a Harley Quinn performance, first it should be Margot Robbie. That is my opinion. I am sorry. Done deal. Now, this episode I said would not happen. The return of this podcast would not happen without the community that I've built. So I wanted the majority of this podcast to be kind of about talking with you guys and answering the questions that you guys gave me. So I have a whole list of it. So I'm just going to kind of go through them. So, Swaggy Cinemas asked, thought on the Maze Runner reboot. I didn't know there was a Maze Runner reboot. I'm not surprised. I think the Maze Runner books were great. They're fun. It's blockbuster material. I thought the Maze Runner trilogy adaptation that kicked off in 2014 and ended in 2019 or whatever, 2018. I thought those three movies were just okay. I'll be excited to see it again. I don't know, is it going to be a series or is it going to be a movie? That's something I want to look into. I'm sure it could have been a good series, so we'll see. Have you / will you ever talk about action figures? I have my Funko collection. I know they're not action figures, but I have my my signed Funko collection. I have Lego sets I'm really looking to build, but I don't really own action figures. I have one model of Spider-Man from Endgame, or Infinity War, and that's about it. I'd like to. I love hot figure toys. Look so cool. I'd love to have one of those. They're just a little bit out of my price budget right now, but maybe one day for sure. Love your positivity when it comes to Disney Star Wars, but do you truly think they can continue Lucas's work? Yes, of course. There's so many stories to tell about Star Wars. It just comes down to, can the Star Wars community also be positive about Star Wars? I think I'm really excited about the Skeleton Crew. I think Skeleton Crew has a lot of potential. It's refreshing. I think it doesn't. The problem with the Acolyte that really kind of set it over the edge, I think, was it was original, but it tiptoed the line of things that were already established, and it started this whole question of, did Disney break canon, which they never did with their Star Wars content. I think Skeleton Crew, there's going to be a few moments just because it takes place at the same time as The Mandalorian that could potentially get in that little gray area of, oh, are they going to ruin something? I say in quotation marks. But I think beyond that, I think we're starting to wrap up any trace of Star Wars that resembles the old. And I don't mean old in the bad way. I just mean I think we're truly stepping away from the Skywalker saga. And I think we're going to get stories like The First Jedi, and we're going to move forward with maybe Rey. I think Disney will continue. I think they can do a good job, and they have done a good job. I mean, The Mandalorian was great. What they did with the Clone Wars, how they finished Clone Wars was great. Bad Batch, I thought was good. Book of Boba Fett wasn't great, but it had its moments. I loved Andor. I loved Rogue One. I thought Force Awakens was a great movie. And I think, like I said, I thought Ahsoka was great, and I think Skeleton Crew is going to be good. So Disney has a good track record with Star Wars. I just don't think people are taking a step back and considering it. It's more of a problem of us as a community not really being positive enough about Star Wars. How many lightsabers do you own? I actually only own 2. I own one that was a custom build from Galaxy's Edge at Disney World. And I own a legacy lightsaber, Anakin Skywalker. And I have big plans because I'm meeting Hayden Christensen at SpaceCon in San Antonio, Texas this October. And I already have 2 autograph tickets. So I'm getting him to sign a Funko Pop because, like I said, you may be able to see it behind me if you're watching on YouTube. I have a signed Funko Pop collection, but I have the Anakin Skywalker lightsaber that I am going to get him to sign as well. So I'm really excited about that. I'm trying to figure out how I want to display that when it does get signed. Let's see. Favorite moment at D23. That is such a tough question. My favorite moment at D23 is actually, there's 2, and I think they're actually really surprising. The first moment, well, first you got to know that D23 was something that I've looked forward to my entire life. It's something that as a creator, it probably was one of my biggest goals, that I wanted to one day get invited to D23. So it's already incredibly special. So the first moment that I will never forget and I'll cherish forever was actually in the Uber on the way to the show floor on the first day. And the moment I started seeing like the banners on the light posts of D23, I just started crying. I couldn't believe it finally felt real that I was there. And the second moment was actually on the last day on the show floor. Pixar invited my wife and I to go to the show floor to check out their booth. So we kind of got to go on the floor before anybody else was on the floor that day. So the show floor was mostly empty, and that was so surreal. I mean, I got to just take in the entire expo, just look around and just enjoy it. I got to take some really cool pictures that I love. And it was the first time I could really just truly see D23 at its foundation, and I love that. I will always cherish the community of it all as well. Seeing all the Disney fans who are just like me and their passion was really, really special. So D23 is just, there's not enough words to say how special it was. Best Star Wars character and why? I mean, I will always love Anakin Skywalker for the entirety of my life. I love Ahsoka. I love Ahsoka so much. Obi-Wan, of course, but I think my favorite Star Wars character, which is the best Star Wars character in my opinion, is Anakin Skywalker. I think Anakin has just one of the best journeys in all of cinema. So, what is my favorite Disney Channel original movie of all time? Okay, Luck of the Irish is underrated. I freaking love Luck of the Irish. I do have to give love to Halloween Town, of course. I had a massive crush on Shigo. I freaking loved Shigo. So I loved the Kim Possible movie, So Not the Drama. Fun fact, actually, and this is totally not her fault, but I was supposed to interview Chrissy Ray Romano at Dallas Fan Expo a couple years ago, but she wasn't able to attend the convention at the last second, so that never happened. But one day I hope I can interview her, because Kim Possible was a huge impact on my life. Actually, so I would go to Turkey and I would watch Kim Possible in Turkish because I knew all the lines in English, so it helped me kind of understand the language, because I'm still not the most fluent in Turkish. And so when I would go spend my summers there, it was kind of hard to communicate with the other kids. So Kim Possible kind of helped me just figure out a little bit. And so I always cherish that memory of that show. So seeing the movie was always something really cool for me. I remember I ran to Walmart to buy it. So that was really special. My favorite, though, I think it has to go to High School Musical. I mean, how can I not? It's hard to compete. LGG05 asks, how was the trailer for Daredevil Born Again? Y'all are not ready for Daredevil Born Again. Okay, they showed us the trailer at D23. I'm not kidding when I tell you it is probably the best Marvel trailer I've ever seen. Maybe it was just in the moment of D23, but man, listen, we got a new trailer for Captain America, Brave New World, Agatha, Ironheart, and Daredevil Born Again. It blew the rest of those out the water, and they were good trailers too. I think they've really captured the Netflix show, and seeing them all back together, The Punisher. You guys are not ready for that trailer. I cannot wait to watch it again and again and again and again. I know there's leaks out there, but let me tell you, the leaks do not do it justice. They do not do it justice. You guys are not ready whatsoever. If I had to make a live action movie of Atlantis, Treasure Planet, or Black Cauldron, which one I'll do? Well, first of all, Black Cauldron, I'm going to yeet that into the sun. I do not need a live action Black Cauldron movie. But also, admittedly, I've never seen Black Cauldron, so I have no emotion towards it at all. Sorry. Atlantis or Treasure Planet? Atlantis would be a really, really cool live action adaptation. It'd be one that I 100% would welcome from Disney. I'll be the first to admit that I'm not always thrilled about every live action that Disney does. I'm excited to see them usually. I think there's a lot of heart that goes into remaking those classics, so I always support them. But it doesn't mean I want every project to be a live action adaptation. Atlantis would be one that I'd be super excited to see. I think it could be done super well. However, if I had to pick one of the three, I'm 1000% picking Treasure Planet to be a live action. That movie is one of the most underrated movies in all of Disney history. Nobody's talking about it. It's one of the most underrated animated and live action. If you put both categories together, it's still one of the most underrated Disney movies. I want that movie to be a live action movie so badly. And let me tell you something. If you make that movie just PG-13, just give it a little bit more edge, it will be one of the greatest movies of all time. I promise you, that story is so strong and still resonates. I watched it recently, so I know it still hits as an adult. Okay, if I were to direct Avengers Doomsday, what would the story be? This is going to be the last question I answer. If I were to direct Avengers Doomsday, this is how I would play it out, right? I don't have a whole story in my head of what it can go, but I can tell you how I want it to be kicked off. I want to say, I want them to just quickly address the fact that Victor Von Doom looks like Tony Stark. I just get it over with. Just rip off the Band-Aid, elephant in the room, just address it really quick, make it a bit, whatever. Don't make it a bit. Do not make it a bit. But just address it as soon as possible. I want Victor Von Doom to come in early, as he should. I mean, the movie's called Doomsday. Come in early, and the only thing that I'm demanding Marvel do, the moment I want in the first 10 minutes of the film, I want Victor Von Doom to kill Happy Hogan. And this is how I want them to rip off the Band-Aid that, he looks like Tony Stark. It's obviously not Tony Stark, but I want them to just deal with the emotional weight of the resemblance, and I think having Doom kill Happy would be so meaningful, because now we're talking about someone who really, on and off camera, kicked off the MCU. And I just think the weight that would have to start off the two Avengers movies, and if you could have Tom Holland's Peter Parker witness that, I get goosebumps thinking about the idea of Robert Downey Jr.'s Victor Von Doom killing Happy Hogan. That would be such a moment. God, I hope it happens. And then insert Deadpool to, ease up the mood. I think that's the last question I had for this episode. I will be doing more of these, so be sure to follow me on social at Big Screen Bearcon everywhere. Everywhere you can follow, download content, everywhere just at Big Screen Bearcon. You will find me. You will find me there, I promise. And if you're able to ask a question, you're more than welcome to. Most likely, I will answer it on this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your support going into this journey. Really trying to give this podcast a real shot. Kind of like the second season of The Acolyte should have probably gotten. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next week for episode 2. Take care.